Hello guys and welcome back to TNT Madness. Today I'm doing something different. Since I've done a video on the 5 reasons I love cannoning, I thought I would do the complete opposite, as there are just as many frustrating things of cannoning as there are fun things, and therefore I will be giving you my 5 reasons why I hate cannoning. Hate, however, is a very strong word, and these reasons are rather tiny annoyances and shouldn't put you off from starting or not learning either factions or cannoning, and these are just my opinions, so you'll have your own frustrating experiences, and again, it shouldn't put you off. Nonetheless, I have still had a lot of depressing experiences that have made me want to propel my head through a wall. So now let's get on with the 5 reasons why I hate cannoning. At number 5, we have what is the most frustrating experience in Minecraft ever for me, and probably the worst thing that can happen to any cannoner, which is when your cannons blow up. It doesn't matter if it is on a test world or even on a faction server, it is the most irritating thing ever. I've done this on camera in my TMFactions episodes, as well as on about every cannon I have ever made, and I have seen all my variations of my 230 one-shot blow up hundreds of times. If you don't have your world backed up or on a schematic, you are going to have an incredibly awful time. And then there is having your cannon blow up when you're on a faction server trying to do a raid, and you have to rebuild the entire thing that took you forever to make, not to mention the amount of money it costs to make cannons in the first place. Also, because of how complicated cannons are, you are very likely to have your cannons blow up quite often, even when you double and triple check. So rest in peace all cannoners. Even Mumbo Jumbo can't build a simple TNT player launcher. So good luck to all the other redstoners who decide to swap over to cannoning, because as I have found, it is not easy. However, once you get past that, it is great. Despite cannoning being really fun, it's really hard to learn and has a very steep learning curve. You have to learn at least basic redstone and then all the TNT mechanics, and even after you know just about everything about cannons and redstone, until you've built a lot of these cannons, you're going to have a very hard time with a lot of your cannons blowing up. To get to the stage where it is the funnest thing ever, where you have the ability to build your own 231 shots and more advanced cannons, it is really far up the track and months of learning away. The complexity of cannons means that they have to be split up into smaller sections, such as sand compressors, hammers, and propellant systems. And if you want to consistently raid tougher walls like 45 regions, then you'll have to learn about even more advanced mechanics such as floating barrels, reverse cannons, automatic cannons, void and mid stackers, and so much more. Learning cannoning is entirely possible and rewarding. You just have to start small and spend a lot of time learning. The problem is when you want to learn it overnight. It won't happen, and you probably won't even learn it in a month, and this is probably why most people don't bother or quit straight away. This is also why good cannoners are so respected in bigger factions. I know most people who have tried to cannon on any faction server where they go buy all their resources for the cannon, such as dispensers and a double chest of TNT, in their local in-game shop, to only see the insane prices that the server has. This is another problem that cannoning has, where everything is extremely expensive, specifically the prices of dispensers and TNT, because you're going to be buying stacks of dispensers for your one shot and probably several chests of TNT to get through all the walls, as you'll be using hundreds of TNT per shot. This can be a very frustrating experience for a lot of people, as it makes people think that only the rich can raid other people and their huge bases. The main issue is that since factions is based on dominance, and the richest are usually very competitive and work extremely hard, pouring most of their day into the server, they are always going to be better than the average person. And the bigger issue is that their resources need to be expensive, or else it would offset the whole in-game economy, and the reward for raiding bases would be so much larger than the cost could ever be. If that happened, then nowhere near as many people would build bases, and a lot more people would try and cannon instead, even if they sucked at it, and this would completely ruin factions. Going straight on from the previous point, if you play factions, whether you are a cannoner or not, or going solo or you're in a big faction, at some point during your faction experience you're going to get raided, and probably very frequently if you aren't super familiar with the strongest walls. The problem is building a base takes weeks, if not months, to build properly, and after you get raided you can't really reuse your old base, as the people who raided you would have most likely set a home inside your destroyed base. So you and the rest of your faction will have to start from scratch, and that can be very frustrating frustrating as it makes all your hard work seem like it has gone to waste. This is less of a problem with cannoning, but because the only reason you would build these cannons is to destroy and raid someone else's base, it means that factions will cause a lot of casual players to quit and even some really competitive players too. Finally, at number 1, we have what is probably something that happens to me more than the average person, this being when cannons don't do what they're supposed to do. This isn't when my cannons blow up, but rather when everything seems fine and you compact your one-shot cannon and it won't one-shot, or it'll only stack 70 sand instead of 230, and this can go for any cannon and problem. However, I'm sure most cannoners will have had at least one experience like this, but for me, it even happens when the cannon works perfectly fine, and then you do something as small as replace a repeater with a piece of redstone, and you don't change anything drastic, but then for some reason the whole cannon breaks. It is honestly infuriating, especially for me. Thanks everyone for watching. If you've had any frustrating experiences or anything in general that frustrates you about cannoning, please leave a comment below. I'll read all of them and I'm very interested in hearing everyone's tragic stories. Also, if you've agreed with anything I've said, please leave a like, but anyway, goodbye from TNT Madness.